we are here to bring you everything and anything surrounding Porsche. I'm Mike.
I'm Aaron.
And this is Pcar Talk.
Welcome to another episode of Pcar Talk. I'm Mike.
And I'm Aaron.
And we are back in the studio. We've been traveling a lot. Obviously, we batch a lot of things, so just want to give full disclaimer on a lot of that stuff. It's come out recently. Yeah. So that was all pre-lockdown stuff. And
Yep.
But, you know, we hope everybody's safe out there. We're honored to be able to provide some content and take your mind off some of those things. So without further ado, let's get going on the show. New sponsor, Soul Performance.
Yeah, exhaust company.
Yeah, so pretty cool. They're working with me and the new Turbo S that I picked up. They've already sent an exhaust. It's already on the car. Aaron's working on the footage as we speak to try to get it out to you guys on YouTube so you guys can see it. But just want to talk about Soul Performance for a little bit. They produce some awesome stuff, don't they? Yeah,
it's pretty amazing. They show you the process too. They email you as they do it. They show you on the jig, show you the welding stuff.
Yeah.
That's a pretty cool buying process.
Yeah, and it's a pretty cool finish that they put on all their exhaust too. If you haven't gone to their website, check them out at soulperformance.com. They bead blast their exhaust to kind of give it this satin finish, which I think is pretty trick and it looks pretty badass. I'm certainly happy with it on my car, the way it looks and the way it performs. It has all the turbo whistles, so we ended up putting a straight pipe exhaust on the car. Haven't had a chance to do any recorded flybys, but got the start up on it. Got the tune in it from our tuner. He's a great guy as well, Marsky. Great tune on the car. We got a kill tune and a safe tune, but you know they're both fun.
They're both the same.
Yeah, yeah. It's just different fuel curves basically, but yeah, the safer one for obviously hotter months, dumping more fuel. But circling back to the Soul Performance, definitely check them out on their website. They make performance parts for all types of cars, not just Porsche. Yep. So if you have something else that you want to run it on as well, Lamborghini, Mercedes, whatever.
BMW.
Yeah, they have it all. So definitely check them out. They're enthusiasts, which is great. Our good buddies down in Sarasota area, Suncoast Porsche, run it on their company car, essentially.
Rick and Pete.
Yeah, their company race car, and it's been through a lot of track days. And it's held the test of time, and it's still hanging strong. And
they've had a lot of different exhausts before that, too.
Yeah, and they've hands down told us behind the scenes, too, that this is their favorite exhaust that they've put on the car at all so far. So, and it's been the most reliable because they've actually, as you know, that it's a turbo Cayman, so it gets pretty hot. It's actually cooked their exhaust, like, literally off the car and, like, bent them, and they fell off, and they got so hot, and they were done. This one's still holding strong, been through a lot of track days. So that's kind of what really turned me onto that, is because I was seeing how they were battle testing that exhaust. I'm not going to obviously put the Turbo S through the treacherous stuff they're putting that car through. So I look at it like, if that can hang on for what they're doing,
you're good for life. My
application is going to be plenty fine with what's going on there. And so I recommend you guys go check that out. Check out all their products. Tell them that Pcar Talk sent you guys onto that one. But let's move on to Farron. I'll let Aaron talk a little bit about that, and then we'll roll into club memberships and why that's important and all that kind of stuff. So, you know, we've posted it many times, but I don't think we can talk about it enough. So we should probably talk about it a little bit more.
At least one more time.
Well, I mean, more than one more time. I mean, this is one of the engines people get information from us on it. So
Farron, we moved it from April to August for obvious reasons. And we're pretty sure. I mean, we're hopeful that that's going to happen. And so same place, same amount of days. We're going to start it on a Thursday night and going to run it through Sunday morning. So that's pretty much the onset out there. And if you signed up, I've sent the emails of the full details of where we're staying, everything, where you can stay, where you can eat, breakfast, all those sort of things. What we plan to do, where we plan to drive. And if you don't have that, just DM us or email me back. Saying you don't have it.
You're speaking to club members, right?
Yeah, the club members. Yeah, exactly. So and that's the way you can get on the drive, is if you're a club member. That's the only way you'll have access to it, because I'll send you the password whenever you sign up. You get an additional email.
Yeah, you won't be able to see the location and all the stuff until you get that password, and you get that password by becoming a member. But you know, I'll let you talk about the membership too, like why it's important. You know, this is one of the added benefits, obviously.
And the reason that we're doing it through members is because we're trying to keep it limited, anyways. And there was only 50 spots. Now there's less than 50, and so there's that. So it's already limited, and it's even more limited now that people have already started to sign up and then continued on. So if you sign up for the club membership, which are 3 tiers, so we have a base tier, we have a S member tier, and an RS tier. Base member is the decal plus the giveaway option. That's when you see our live streams and we do giveaways every month.
Yeah.
So that's a thing that's across all the memberships.
And all the pricing on there is for annual pricing, just to be clear, because we've had other people think that that was monthly for whatever reason, but it clearly states it says annually, but I just want to reiterate that as well.
Exactly. It's like 7 cents a day. Somebody broke
something
down.
crazy. Yeah, it's ridiculously cheap.
Yeah, but I mean, we're giving back as much as we can out of it. And not only just through what we do initially when you buy something and you get the decals, the shirts, or the membership card, depending on what level you get. But we also do those giveaways. And then now we're doing the drive. And the drive has giveaways inside the drive.
Exactly.
So, I mean, I don't think we could do.
And then I think we're going to also, we'll break the news on it a little bit, because the goal is to do this. I can't give you a time frame on it, but hopefully in the next month or so, Aaron and I are going to start doing a sim club racing, basically maybe weekly. We don't know what it's going to look like. We're going to talk to the membership and see what you guys want to do, but we'll get together and basically sim race maybe once a week as a club. And then over time, we'll build some times and maybe do some events, and then we'll trophy a club winner annually, because we'll do our own season, and there might be some type of cash prize or some type of trip we maybe send them on or something like that. We're going to come up with something like that. And where Aaron was going with that was basically, for being such a small club, because we all are small, your dollars are basically going right back in and coming right back out to you, in the sense of we try to give you guys cool stuff. We try to set the cool stuff up for you. And then whatever the residual is from that is basically just for operating expense. We're not profiting.
Not by any means.
Yeah, we're really going out of our way to try to make sure every member feels appreciated, and they're also getting everything that they say they're going to get. And we try to hold ourselves to that word as well. And I think we're doing a pretty good job.
I agree with it. And that was the onset of the whole thing. When we looked at it, we have been in part of several clubs and things, and we're like, well, if we had something and we could do it all over again, this is how we do it. And that's the way it's being accomplished. And we're continuing to
what does it look like? And no matter how, and I'll say this, I don't care how big it ever gets. Even it'd be lovely if we ever had thousands of members or whatever, if we ever are fortunate enough to get to that point. But if we do, the more membership we get, guys, no kidding, I'm not just saying this from trying to be a marketing tool, the more cool shit you guys are going to get. So as a collective, there's going to be strength in those numbers for you guys as members. So it encourages you guys to have other people that you know that if you're already a member to join as well. You're going to benefit from that residually, because hopefully someday, if we ever do get thousands of members, what we'd like to do is when we start being able to go to track events again, we'd love to host an entire tent.
Oh, exactly.
And everything would be free instead of you being charged. And meaning, we're not giving you a free water. We're not going to give you a free soda. We're going to give you like mimosas. We're going to give you beers. We're going to, whatever we can do as far as what the membership's doing. We're trying to elevate this thing. So
exactly. I mean, we've had from the get-go, we have probably like a 5-year out plan of what we want to do and accomplish. And that's all going to take is the membership getting there. Exactly.
And we want to, and on the membership topic, because we don't talk about it enough, we do still need members, but we want to thank all the people that already are members, because you guys are a huge part of what we're doing already. And you guys, it really, really means a lot. Everybody who's stepped up and has bought into this, and you're helping yourselves and you're helping the Porsche community and you're helping us too. So it's awesome all the way around. So we just want to say thank you guys so much for the ones that have done that, and everybody else that's on the fence. I hope that's a little bit of information for you to teeter towards our side and actually start to join this group and start joining up with some of your peers that have already joined up, instead of just kind of waiting around and seeing what this is going to look like. So
yeah, and it's on pcartalk.com and then under Pcar Club.
Yeah. So there's drop downs. You can do it instantly, and you'll get all your stuff, and we'll get it out to you, and we'll hopefully you become an RS member, and we get you a shirt, get you, the decals, the card, all the good stuff that comes with it, and hopefully maybe you win something.
Yep, it happens all the time.
Yeah,
at least every month.
Exactly. Somebody's winning. Somebody's winning every month. So, and we've had some really, really good stuff, and fortunately, a lot of our sponsors have given us stuff to give away. So it's really, really cool thing. So it's a win-win for everybody, guys. With that being said, Speaking of sponsorship stuff, Soul Performance, we talked about a little bit earlier, it sponsored us. So on the Turbo S, there's probably some people that listen to us that don't follow us on Instagram, and they don't follow us on YouTube for whatever reason. And if you are one of those people, please do all those things that if you're not doing them.
Subscribe,
Yeah,
notifications.
Exactly. But anyways, Aaron did record the install of that. That'll be coming out. With that being said, and where that's coming out on our YouTube channel, the Pcar Talk channel on there. So we're going to walk you guys through basically everything that we're going to end up doing to that car down the road, whether that even simple stuff, if we change seat belts out to a different color, and if we put a cage in it. Car. So we'll make content from it so you guys can see it. And then, we have a before and after. We had the roof exhaust. It came with the car. It was on there. We weighed it. It was super heavy. Was
50 pounds.
55 pounds.
Yeah,
how much does it weigh? Yeah. So, and I think the new Soul Performance one weighed like 28 pounds.
Yeah, we did this off Mike's weight plus the exhaust and then some math.
So it was a pretty significant difference. I mean, taking 34-ish pounds off the back of the car is pretty awesome.
And aesthetically, it looks really good too.
Yeah, it looks better. And it sounds way better because it's straight pipe clearly, so you can hear the turbo whistling. But where I was going with that, all that content that we're providing, we do. Everybody who's listening, want to go ahead and plug this again. We have a YouTube channel that we're producing content, and there's stuff coming out every week, Porsche related stuff. So please check that out. If you guys are watching already, that's great. Please make sure that you subscribe on there. Hit the notification bell if you haven't done it at all. Yep. It really does mean a lot. All the content's free. Aaron's putting in a lot of editing time, all that stuff. So the least you guys could do is at least subscribe, share it with people, especially if you're consuming the content. Yep. I mean, it's free again. So just do us a solid. And then one more ask that we have for you guys, because we don't make it enough as well. If you're listening to us, just go on your phone to whatever platform you're listening on and put a review in for us. That would make a huge difference. That helps out a lot. We got we got thousands of people listening, but there's 88 reviews on iTunes.
That's pretty
so
accurate.
We want to ask you guys, if you haven't put a review in and you're enjoying the show, please put a positive review in for us, and that would help us out a lot, because all that stuff gets documented.
Yeah,
and
that's how part of it's ranked.
Yeah, that feedback helps to rank us as well. So if you're enjoying it, like I said, please take the time. Again, this is all free. Do us that solid as well, and that would make a big difference for us. So let's move on to some of the topics that we want to talk about. Let's get into 992 stuff.
Okay.
So I was reading, and it was actually quoted by Oliver Bloom saying that the hybrid car is going to come out a lot sooner than they anticipated. So
was it 2023 that you saw that?
Yeah, end of 2022 actually.
Okay, so yeah, that's before they're projecting their Cayman Boxster full EVs.
Yeah. Now this is just a hybrid, so I wanted to talk about it a little bit. We kind of saw the writing on the wall, obviously, when the 992 was launched, because they said there was a compartment already in there that was just basically empty for this run of cars right now that's coming out. So they're writing the stuff on the wall. We already know it's coming, but from what they said, it still wasn't coming for a while.
Well, and a while can be anything, I guess.
Yeah, but usually you don't think 2.5 years from when the model launched, you're going to see a hybrid. Now, with that being said, full disclaimer, you can still get a combustion engine 911. From what they're saying, the hybrid's just going to be an option. Almost kind of like when you buy a Panamera.
So it's a hybrid option. Okay.
Yeah. So there's going to be a hybrid option. It's not going to be like, okay, the hybrid and that's it.
So they are keeping their stance. When they talked about they're not going to go full EV or hybrid right off the bat. They're going to kind of work their way into it.
Well, yeah. So that's where I wanted to go with this a little bit. And they're clearly testing the waters, right? Mm-hmm. They want to see what the fallout is, what the response is going to be. They want to still be able to offer everything. And if this thing falls flat on its face, it won't be that detrimental to the lineage of the 911 in their eyes, because they'll be like, well, people can still buy the combustion engine now. Because they'll live side by side.
I wonder why they wouldn't just go ahead and do it when they did the launch. Like a new car, new platform, widened car, hybrid.
I think
it's too much.
That's why I think they didn't do it. I think it's too much because you already have a new body. You already have, all right, everything is going to be wide bodied. You already have a lot of stuff going on. I don't think they wanted to throw that in there too. It was like just too many moving parts, maybe. And I think maybe this article and then them making this announcement, this also gives them time to see what the feedback's going to be like from the general populace.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, that's true. They can stop making it or make more.
Yeah, exactly. But do you think? What are your thoughts on them pushing the time frame up on this? Because
did they
originally?
Well, we don't know.
Well, he did say this. He did say a date. He goes, "I wouldn't anticipate seeing a hybrid 911 before 2025." That was the original quote when the 992 was first being launched.
Probably because they didn't know how fast the technology or how fast they could really produce it.
Maybe he was just giving himself that cushion. What do you think that the thought process behind it? Do you think that's just because let's get them out there and let's see how people respond, because then maybe we can go full EV faster? What do you think
I think
when you're skipping this up some, is it because your end goal is to have full EV available at some point sooner?
Well, they know the product works because they have it in every other lineup. So it's not like they're testing it to see if it's going to work or not, longevity wise. And
I think they're seeing if it's going to work with the people.
I think so too. Yeah, I think that is the people question.
Yeah, I don't think it's a fact of, like you said, the actual mechanical is working. Yeah, I think it's going to work just fine. It's going to work great.
The adoption rate.
I think they're worried about the buy-in from the consumers.
It is almost, even though it's not full EV, it's still another conversation, water-cooled to air-cooled, water-cooled to turbochargers now.
Yeah, it's another generational roadblock, essentially, right?
The NA to turbos. And how is that going to be received? And then now we have turbos. It's the thing now.
I mean, we all knew this day was coming, which is interesting, but I just find it. And then on top of that, too, like this wasn't discussed. So this, obviously, you and I are just speaking speculation. So I just want your opinion on this. Are they going to lower displacement on the car because now they have a hybrid assist? Or is it going to still be same displacement, same motor, same everything, but now you're adding a hybrid engine, you're adding more weight, but maybe you're just bumping power?
I would say you bump power just to get people in. Like, okay, e-hybrid, now I get an extra bump, 50, 100 horsepower, or whatever the bump is. I think that's how you would attract more people in. Get more power out of this? Cool.
Yeah.
I mean, are your turbos going to last longer because now you're less stressed?
Maybe, yeah. You're right. Or the hybrid motor's keeping you on boost.
Yeah.
Keeping them spooled at all times. I know they did say it's going to be very powerful. They were quoted by saying that. And I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, we've seen what the Taycan can do when it's full EV, so you leak some of that technology over. You and I have driven a lot of their hybrid lineups, cars. We've driven the Cayenne hybrid.
They're good.
We've driven the Panamera hybrid. There's a significant kick in those cars that have a hybrid system. So
their sister company, Audi, has an electronic turbo. Do you think we see any of that in there with the hybrid technology?
That's an interesting thing.
They already have turbos.
Yeah.
Do they go one side electric and one side regular exhaust, and then?
I don't know. I mean, just like the other, it does help them as far as MPGs.
Oh, 100%.
But I think because Porsche is an enthusiast, Porsche's an enthusiast company. Those cars that even we drove, even though they were sedans and SUVs, it still was a performance-based.
Yeah, it wasn't like longevity.
Purpose. Yeah, it was more of a performance.
Miles, yeah.
We're not talking like a Chevy Volt here. We're talking like, hey, this made the car more stout because it has this. It performs better with this. It's faster and efficient. So I think it can be a positive thing. Where the long story on this, where I'm going, and we already know this was coming, but now we have some lines in the sands, or however you want to marks on the calendars, because the years are coming and they're moving fast. The death of the combustion engine it's running out of sand, essentially.
Yeah, it is closer the more and more. We've already moved to hybrid for a lot of other things. Once the 911 moves that direction, that's the big.
Yeah, that's going to be the last one that moves to that area, right? Just because that's their flagship car. It has been since the birth. How do you think this is going to be received?
Well, in Europe, probably well, because like we talked about, all the inner cities with all the green emissions, 3 or 4, whatever it's called now, You're going to have those if you're going to drive in the city.
Mm-hmm.
Then you're going to have that. That's going to have to meet those standards or be full or be able to be EV like.
Yeah. When
it's around town. So, I mean, I can see it being if it's your daily, it can be well received. Yeah. Did they? I guess I don't remember. But the article, did they talk about specific lineup? Is it only going to be in like the Turbo S, the hybrid?
They didn't specify.
Okay, I was wondering.
I doubt it, to be honest with you. Like where they're only going to put it in one thing, in the lineup, or if it's just, it could be just like they do the Panamera. It
Wait,
could be
Carrera hybrid.
Yeah,
huh.
It could be just that. That's what you got. And that and they'll probably, what they'll do is they'll take their data points on sales with those cars and see how things go. And if it goes well,
here we go.
Yeah, we may be seeing a full EV 911 before we thought so too. So I think it'll do well. I don't think I'm a buyer for it. Clearly, I just bought another car, so I'm not hunting. I'm not hunting new cars. But I always feel we have this debate offline a lot in our conversations. We're like, who's buying these cars? We say that a lot. Who's buying all this stuff? There's always
new buyers.
Yeah, there's always people who want to buy the new. And you guys know what I'm talking about. There's always those people that, and there's nothing wrong with it. They just like the newest of the new stuff. They like having a new car. They want to be the first one to ever drive it. Whatever the reason is, those people are getting the new cars every 2 years, essentially. So either they're leasing, they're turning it in, and they're getting the new one. They like living at the dealership because everything's taken care of under warranty. And there's a lot of peace of mind that goes along with that. So I can actually empathize with that whole thing altogether. I get it. But once you're in it because it's almost kind of like a rat race, right? So you have to continue on that path to keep getting the new car, or eventually you're going to end up holding the bag on something really expensive.
Yeah, you reminded me of the subscription service they're doing. I haven't heard anything about that in a long time. Does this car go in there or that type of thing?
Yeah, it's a great question.
Is that how they test their waters? They have a base and they go, okay, guys, who's leasing this? Or who's on the subscription service for this?
Yeah, it's a pretty interesting thing that's going to happen, and we're going to see it really, really soon. So I'm actually excited just to see it, just because it's new and it's different. I'm always for progression. It's a sad day because I know the days are numbered for the combustion engine for the 911. However, with that being said, most of us, I don't want to say all because that's not fair to include everybody, but majority of us in general are buying some of these secondhand anyhow. And if you're a secondhand buyer, by the time you actually catch up to a lot of these cars, they're used anyways.
Yeah.
And to be fair, there's a lot of 911s out there that have had previous owners that are for sale. So I feel like that pool is going to take a long time to dry up anyways. If you don't want to move on to the next level, you got a lot of cars to choose from. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah. That is a good outlook. There's plenty of fish in the sea.
Exactly. And, on the flip side, everybody goes, oh my God, this is the last of this. It's the last of that.
It'll be that, but
and you can pick specific models, and there are very, very few numbers on a lot of them. But I'm talking about the bulk.
Yeah.
Like bulk Carreras, like 997s, and just general. I'm not even just saying .1s or .2s, just 997 generation altogether.
Lots of them.
Tons of them.
All of
Tons of manuals to choose from. That pool's not dried up yet. You can still do that and still be a somewhat modern car and still give you some of the old school feels too. So there's a lot of those to choose from. That day where I think all of those cars are going to get pricey just because they don't make combustion engines anymore. I think we're a long way off from that still. I do. Because I think we're still a couple decades away from that, and we'll be old then by then anyways.
Full adoption, yeah. I can see that.
Well, I'm just saying, how where some of the air-cooleds, for example, look how long it took the tide to turn on some of these air-cooleds. Let's take a 964 for an example. Like the tide didn't turn to people were interested in that car and willing to spend good money to get one.
New Carrera money.
Yeah. For shit. I mean, what are we in 2020? Probably for the last 3 years. Yeah. Like that's more of a recent development. So you take a 90. So it took 25 plus years before that car came into something. So think of a 2010 Carrera or a 9. tack on 25 years, and that's probably where you're going to finally start to see them carry a little bit more weight.
Yep.
And even with that being said, they made a ton more 997s than they did 964s too. So then you have that overall production, not even just because it's a specific special thing. I mean, Porsche as a whole sold a ton more 997s, a ton more 996s than they did a lot of their air-cooled generation cars. They were just a lot smaller company back then. They were doing hand-built stuff back then. Yeah. They went to full assembly line basically with the 993.
They started cranking things out.
Yeah, so they got a little bit more into the future, as far as more boutique style.
And still, I mean, there'll be those ones that are sought after and the ones that limited editions, BTSs, all that good stuff, like normal. So
yeah, I just thought it was an interesting topic to talk about a little bit. So before we go on break, because I know there are people who only listen, I'll talk about the car that I picked up real fast, and then we'll take a break. Okay. Because I just thought about that. I'm like thinking about all the places that people see us or don't see us, because I have to think of our audience is so wide, where there's people that only listen to us, and that's all they ever do, and they probably want to know. So it's an 05 Turbo S. It's slate gray metallic. It's a PTS color. I went to roof after it was built. It's not a roofed VIN car, but it basically almost has everything our Turbo has on it.
Yeah, except like seats, I think.
Yeah. So exhaust, wing, front bumper, wheels, suspension, interior bits, soft tune, all that stuff from them. Why it didn't get badged as one, I don't have that information, but I do have all the receipts for when it went there. I'm really excited to have that car because the build date on the car is really late too. It's like May or June of 05.
Yeah.
And why that's significant, in 2005, the 997 is actually rolling down the assembly line starting in January of 05. So do the math. This car was in the summer, so there was 997s. People were driving 997s, taking delivery of 997s, all that stuff. And this 996 still existed.
Yep, they always do that, and they always do it with the turbos for some reason, where it's a late roll.
Well, they're delivering last gen, even though there's a new gen out. That happened with the 930 Turbo S. People were taking delivery of that car, and the 964 was being delivered. People were taking delivery of their 930, basically Turbo S, in like 1993. I read an article on it. It's like, what the hell?
Maybe it's just that low production. They're not coming out quick.
Well, I think it's a smart strategic move because they still have runoff parts. So what they do is they basically assemble a crew, and my car was fortunately probably one of them. I'm just assuming, I don't know this for a fact, but from what I've read on the forums and people that are really into Turbo S's, said that this car was probably hand built because the assembly line was already dedicated to something else. So this was built off to the side, and workers put this thing together by hand, which makes it also super, super unique. And the fact that they only made 186 of them.
Yeah.
And then it's
pretty cool.
It's probably one of the last ones to really come out of the Stuttgart factory when this thing was done.
Yeah, because I think you said you saw a May date on your front bumper, one of the things, and then we saw June when we took off the
on the frame.
Yeah.
So it's super, super late. Not the reason why I bought the car, but the reason why I bought the car is I thought it was cool because it being a Turbo S. I wanted a 996 Turbo, but I kind of wanted a special one. I don't have GT2 money, or I would own a 996 GT2.
Close. I mean, it's super close to GT2, though.
It's got GT2 turbos, intercoolers. It's got all the juicy stuff. It just doesn't. It's still all-wheel drive, but love the car. It is a manual, just in case people are wondering.
The clutch is super light on it, which was, strange to me.
Yeah. I was talking to Chad a little bit about his 996 Turbo in that car, and the reason why I think they feel so different. You can remove this in the car to make it feel like that. There's a hydraulic assist on the clutch.
Oh, that's what it is.
And I think Chad's is removed. He doesn't know if it is, but I think that's what makes it feel so different.
Okay.
Because my car still has it. So there's a hydraulic assist in the clutch. That's why it makes it so light.
Real unbelievably light, like stepping on foam.
Yeah. Clearly, obviously in the 964, there's no such thing as a hydraulic assist, but it's
man calves.
Yeah. But I do enjoy it, even though it has like a lighter feel to the clutch. But I think that's the conclusion him and I came with the other night when him and I were talking. And I'm like, I bet you if we were to remove it, it would probably feel a lot like his clutch too. It'd feel super heavy. but I'm not going to screw with that because I actually like the way it feels.
Cush.
So it's nice. But yeah, guys, that's the new addition to the Pcar family. On our end, Aaron is secretly hunting some type of car himself. Don't want to like totally give it away, but
Yeah. So not even I know what it is.
yeah, he was where I was at. So one day it's an air-cooled car, and the next day it's a turbo car because he's getting turbo fever.
Everybody's trying to get turbos.
Yeah, a friend of ours just picked up a PTS turbo also and Polar Silver. Like
That's
the group continues to grow as far as 996 turbos go. Say get them while you can before the prices get out of control. And I mean, they're already going up. So I can speak all about them now that I have one. So
He's good.
yeah, we'll mess with that price delta. But anyways, let's take a break and then we'll come back and talk about some more cars.
Right.
Thank you guys listening to Pcar Talk so much. We appreciate you guys so much. I can't say that enough. Also check us out on YouTube. We release videos on Mondays, Thursdays, and Fridays. Help support the channel. Everything we're doing is trying to bring the community closer together. We definitely appreciate that. Also, when you go onto YouTube, if you could subscribe, maybe pass it along, make a comment, we really appreciate that. Again, circling back to pcartalk.com, there is a newsletter created on there. Please put your information in there. That way we can keep you up to date on anything that's coming forward and anything that we're going to be doing moving forward and all the exciting things that are coming out. Now back to the show.
All right, we're back from break. I'm going to talk a little bit about some more EV stuff coming out. One of the most interesting things I think I've read recently is the Macan EV that's coming out. They're not going to do any kind of hybrid like we talked about, obviously, in the 911. There's no transition here, which is fine. I don't think there needs to be one.
You don't think there's a reason?
No, it doesn't really make sense, especially when you have the technology already with the Taycan, and a lot of that we understand already is going to be shared across the platform on that skateboard style setup. But what found was interesting as well is that we could see these as soon as the end of 2022 as well. Like they've pushed all of this stuff.
So they should have. Well, I mean, they built the facility.
Yeah, they need to start. That thing needs to start paying.
Something's got to happen there.
Yeah, they got to start making money off of it. And it's going to have similar trim levels that it already has, and it's going to follow the same trim line as the Taycan. So this debate everybody had as far as, oh my God, it doesn't really have a turbo in it. Yeah. You're going to see it again in the Macan. So they're sticking by this, and turbo has turned into a trim level essentially.
Well, yeah, I mean, other companies have done it similarly, where you used to be able to go, okay, well, that has a certain size motor in it because of this badge. Now Porsche's just doing it. This has this power amount, and so there it is.
Yeah, I'm kind of over the who cares at this point, where there's the debate. It's something just to pick out on it, just to say that okay, you chose poorly here. Yeah, who cares? But I think what's really interesting is because it is going to share, obviously, some of the Taycan stuff. They're talking about the highest trim level in the Macan could have 700 horsepower.
That's so much power.
700 horsepower SUV, like crossover SUV.
Small one.
What the hell, bro?
Not a Cayenne or anything. It's a little guy.
The thing is going to be a projectile that's going to just kill things. It's
like have its own Cup Series.
Heavy monster. 700 horsepower brick flying through the air.
Well, yeah, that and the torque, is immediately sparked. Like, what's the tow capacity in that thing? Like, infinite.
Who knows? And that's also a great question. Might not even have a tow option on this because who knows how it's going to degrade your ability to charge, or you may drain it really fast because you're towing something for whatever distance. You may get half the distance. Who knows?
Yeah.
They didn't really get into the depths of that. However, all of their SUVs, I'm sure, will have this or go to this pretty much eventually anyhow. So they're going to have to find a way around it because people are still going to want to tow things with their SUVs.
Yeah. Well, maybe not so much on the Macan, and that's maybe they went this way first with it. That's not a use case.
Possibly. Yeah, we're just kind of filling in the blanks. I mean, it's entirely possible. That's why they're doing it. But there are plenty of people that tow stuff with their Macan that we talk to and follow us. So it's not that it's not capable of it. I just don't know what the real world and the distance that you're towing, there's a lot of factors that go into that. What's your range going to look like?
Exactly.
Do you take something it can get 300 miles of range, and then when you tow, you're getting 150? Because that really changes the dynamic of what you're going to do with that car, because now it turns into okay, if you're not going to tow for long distances, maybe you're going to tow your boat around from the dock and you live 10 miles away or 20 miles away, whatever. So that's certainly doable. But anything you want to go tow a camper for a long distance and take it somewhere,
no cross
that doesn't sound, it doesn't really sound like it's, or even you're not even cross countrying. Maybe you want to drive to a mountain range that's 7 hours from your house. Well, you're not going to be able to do this in one loop.
Well, there'd just be a lot of drive and stop.
Yeah. But I think what it's going to end up doing is making people choose what they use the vehicle for. Mm. And if there are people that like to go camping and do those things and maybe tow something with them, it may change their mind as far as what the availability is, because they still may be seeking something that's combustion power. That way they don't need to stop. And as we all know, there's probably not a supercharger station anywhere close in the mountain range.
Maybe not.
When you're camping with your Winnebago or doing whatever you're doing. I thought also that they did make an interesting thing when they talked about this. It says, and also by 2024, more than likely, the only Macan available will be a Macan EV. They're not going to make any of the combustion stuff starting in 2024 for that SUV.
Oh, that's down the road.
Yeah, and we're 30-40% the way through 2020, so that they will be here very soon. 3.5 years, you're not going to see a combustion Macan according to them.
So then that might be the timeline for most of their things outside the 911 then.
I think so.
Yeah, that might mean full EV at least. Did they say?
Well, we reported on a previous episode that the Boxer Cayman, full EV is going to be around in 2023.
Yeah, but this is saying like there's nothing else in the lineup though.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying is that there's going to be totally dissolved Cayman Boxers. No more combustion that way, and there's going to be full EV that.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Macan, full EV.
I wouldn't be surprised.
So do you think the range changes at all? I mean, I know we talk about the skateboard effect, so essentially nothing should really change as far as range or power because it's the same car, right?
Not really though, because the aero on the Taycan's probably a lot better. Its center of gravity is going to be lower. So so essentially a Macan EV, in theory, should get a lot less MPG.
Yeah. But I would say it could weigh less, but it's not going to affect it because it's going to be more of a brick, I guess.
Yeah, but I mean, its profile isn't going to be less aero, so you're going to lose some from that also, regardless, because they're not going to slam an SUV.
Or will they? 2024.
Wouldn't be an SUV then, right? So I just think it was interesting for them to make that statement. And, that year is probably a give or take year as far as, okay, we're not ready to make that move yet. Who cares that we've already said it? Maybe 2025 will be the last time you'll see a combustion engine one, whatever. But I think it's interesting, and it ties into the conversation that we had earlier. We're talking about hybrid systems. This day is, every day we go to sleep gets one day closer to enthusiasts. In any brand, even though we're just talking about Porsche stuff, as we know, the whole Audi, Volkswagen group, this goes across that whole board. If you have any interest in other than stuff outside of Porsche, that whole group, they're all applying the same stuff to everything that's going on in their own lineup. Ford, as we know, has eliminated a lot of their cars, and they've just gone to an SUV truck-based type of situation, and a lot of their stuff is going to go full EV as well. We've talked about this plenty times about what this is going to look like for us.
And all the other German car manufacturers are following that German law for emissions in 2025 anyway. So it's kind of no surprise that this is happening as quick as they can. I mean, by 2030, to see a combustion engine is probably going to be rare.
So what do you think from an enthusiast standpoint, what this looks like? Let's play future a little bit. What does this look like in 15 or 20 years from an enthusiast standpoint? Is there going to be silos of people, kind of like there is with the air-cooled world, where there's some of those guys are hell-bent on never blending anywhere, any type of event with water-cooled or any of that kind of stuff? Or do you think it's just going to be another dynamic where they're going to be received by combustion guys as well? Because is it going to bring a whole nother group of people into Porsche because of it? Or is it going to actually shut a lot of guys and girls off of new Porsche?
I think it's going to be a hybrid.
Yeah.
I think there will be, like, there are cases now where it's still separated air-cooled events, air-cooled only, and then there's other things where water-cooled, air-cooled, all stuff lives together. And I think there'll be a little bit of, I want to be all with my EV guys, and that's it. I don't want to be any crazy combustion stuff, water-cooled or air-cooled.
Yeah.
I think it'll be both. I don't think that, because you're gonna have clicks for that reason that they meld together because they all have EVs, and then you're gonna have everybody's a Porsche buyer, so let's do that. Let's be together.
Yeah, I think that
Different times.
Yeah, I kind of disagree with you on that. I think that I think that'll be siloed up. I don't think they'll be as well received.
Ecky. Electric, yeah.
I'm just trying to picture an event, and not naming any events because it's going to happen at that event, but I'm just saying like a gathering where everything is welcomed, right?
Yeah.
I still think the majority of the people at that event are still going to look at those EV Porsches strange. They're going to be like, oh, they're super cool. I can appreciate what they are, but I have no interest in it. I think that's going to be the rebuttal a lot of people have just in general. And then I think there's going to be people that are fully bought in and they're like, I don't know why you're driving that old tractor. This is way cooler. It's way faster. So much reliability. It's awesome. And I think they will be, like we talked about it before, what they came in and the full Boxster EVs that are going to be coming out in 2023 are said to have 400 horsepower in that chassis.
So much.
And it's instant 400 horsepower and it's putting it all down immediately. So who knows? Maybe there'll be a lot of combustion engine guys that convert. Maybe they'll have both. Like you said, hybrid. Like, okay, we talked about this many times before. For the weekends, I'm going to get in my dyno burner. Yep. And during the week, I'm going to drive the EV car. Maybe that's what this kind of turns into.
I can see that. I can see having both. But
because I think there's a lot of people who do that now anyways. Yeah. They have their daily and then they have their toy, even though it's also gas burning. They're just saving that for the weekend drives or whatever they end up doing with their air-cooled classic or whatever it is. Even if it's a water-cooled classic, they're saving that for the Spirited drives.
Special.
Yeah,
the Spirited special, and then the new stuff is the daily.
It's the daily work done. I think that's more of what this is going to really look like personally. I obviously don't have a crystal ball, but I think that's what that's going to look like.
But if you did, that's the way it'd be going.
And I think there's going to be a lot of Porsche people that see the benefit, like we've talked about before, in having both. Because they want the Spirited drive, they want the feels. Yeah, it's going to be slower, but it's supposed to be slower. But they can use all the power on the weekends in the old classic cars, and water-cooled will fall into old classic cars too. Yeah. Because they're a combustion engine car. And then the weekend, I mean, the going to dinner car, the running around town car is going to be your EV fill in the blank. EV Macan, EV Boxster, Cayman, whatever it is, even 911 at that point, or Cayenne. I think it'll be well received with that because I almost feel like the newer cars, it's almost okay for them to do that daily duty stuff. Yeah. You know, there's some guys that are, and girls that are hardcore that drive their classics every day, which is awesome. I wish I was in that category, but I'm not because there's a lot of a-hole drivers.
He's not hardcore enough.
Yeah, you know, the thing about it is, it's not even about that. I just feel there's certain places I have to go. Meaning like when I could go there, like the gym. Yep. And there's a lot of non-car people there.
Yeah, I get it.
And I don't want to park in Egypt and then walk to the front door of the gym because I'm just not like that. I have a truck to drive, so I just daily the truck.
You parked it on the curb and just
exactly.
Walk to the gym.
Hard park it out front and leave it. But in all seriousness, I know that sounds really like a lame excuse to not drive your classics or your stuff every day, but if I can subject it from not putting it near somebody who doesn't give a shit about their car, why would I? Well, because I want to be hardcore and I want to get that experience. Like it would kill me to come out and there's some ass clown that just disrespected your car just because
then you're done with the gym and you're tired and then you're back in the heat again because you're from sauna to sauna. I mean, the other thing too is the specialty or the specialness of being in the car. Yeah, that would probably wear off a little bit.
I agree with that too. Yeah, and then if maybe you don't have this trained mindset when you get in the car, you're going for something special like a Spirited drive. Now it's kind of blending everything like you said. It does everything.
Why do you think I'm in 6 gear all the time? It's because it's become a daily to me, not just.
I'm just like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, why are you driving like this?
He's there in fourth and then 4,000, 5,000 RPM,
That's what they should be doing.
I know,
but I get it. But circling back, to not get too far off topic, what are your thoughts on this? If they do go full EV and just drop the combustion line with the Macan, is that a good move in your opinion? Do you think
it's another one of those cars?
Do you think they should still give people choices? What do you think?
Because I think it's just like Cayman Boxer territory. It's in the lineup where that customer is going to be in the mindset that they want that. Mm-hmm. It's not going to be they don't make it a combustion one. That I really want the combustion motor. I don't think that's going to be the case. Mm-hmm. I think it's something that it's there that they'll get in and not think about it.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's going to be a big deal or a big push, and that's why they're going in those three directions so quickly.
Yeah. I do agree with that. I think it won't matter. I think people will buy it if they want it, and if they don't want it, then they'll just buy something else. And I think from a production standpoint, it's better for Porsche to just say, this is what we are offering, and that's it.
I mean, if it's anything, if all these cars are anything close to what the Taycan is as far as feel, flatness, speed, it doesn't matter what body's on top of that.
It's true. Maybe, I guess, maybe they're just trying to Porsche does this. They're just trying to be ahead of the game, and they're just going in early and they buy in early, and that way.
More time to perfect it. I mean, that's what you really have. That's what you're buying when you're taking the perspective that your customer base is educated, they're reading, they know the future, they know what they have a mindset that they want to be part of. Mm-hmm. As green as it can go. Let's do that. Let's give them an avenue for that.
I just think an interesting thing that never gets brought up with any of these full EV trucks that are even coming out, or SUVs, a lot of them don't want to discuss towing capacity because they know it's going to be really degraded because you are towing something, and it takes a lot of Newton meters and all that torque and all that stuff to get that going from a stop and go. I'm just curious, not from Porsche, this isn't a Porsche specific question, but I'm just kind of curious in general how that's going to affect our future as far as people traveling and towing, a camper somewhere or boat somewhere.
So here's something. So if they had, and I'm sure Porsche could do it, if they have some type of system where it's connected in, it's wired in, where it's regenerative as well. So whatever you're towing is regenerative back into your car battery.
Yeah.
As well as because you still have regenerative braking.
Yeah, but that's still not enough. What I'm talking about, there's a lot of families that like to do this still. There's a lot of families who want to go camping. They want to take their thing somewhere, whatever they have, their motorhome or whatever, their fifth wheel, whatever they have, and they have a diesel truck or they have something like that, and they go around and they take a couple weeks and they go see national parks with their family or their spouse or a significant other. Do you think that's going to change the dynamic of that as a whole? I'm just talking about the car industry in general. And will those people still just be seeking out maybe diesel burning cars because they know that's what works for them, as opposed to the hassle of converting over to an EV car because they're like, what, that's really cool, but I need to go 12 hours east and this thing can only make it 5 hours before it needs a full recharge. And then it only goes another 5 hours. Then I got to recharge. So I have to stop 3 major times before I can even get to my destination once, as opposed to filling up your diesel vehicle once and making that drive.
I can see that being the initial thought process, but as soon as all the fast charging stations happen, I don't think it'll be an issue.
Yeah, so you're saying basically once the infrastructure catches up, it won't be a big deal. However, the infrastructure is still not there, though.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I can see it being a talk at the beginning, but I don't. I mean, what else are you gonna buy? I don't think there's anything. Is there anything left that's diesel in the Porsche lineup?
No.
Yeah. So.
No, I know, and I'm not, and I wasn't even just Porsche specific.
Yeah,
I was just kind of wondering in general, because I do tow the boat occasionally, and a car hauler for friends or something like that. I just wonder what that's going to look like for short distances. It's going to be a non-issue. I get that. I'm not trying to argue that point, but I'm just saying, when people are trying to be strategic with their money and plan something out where they're like, okay, does daily duty. I can tow my boat with it. I can also throw stuff in it from Home Depot and get lumber and all this other crap. Oh, and also I can use it to tow my camper when I go to Blue Ridge Mountains, or I go to Yellowstone with my family, or I do this. And I have no problems because I just fill it up with diesel and I move on. I don't have to seek a charging station. I don't have to go do this. I don't have to go do that. I just wonder what that's going to look like,
There'll be extended range capabilities, and then there'll probably be some type of, the infrastructure is.
But again, I'm deep in the weeds with it, as a whole,
Yeah.
you know, the car market, that's probably not even a factor that anyone from a car manufacturing standpoint gives a shit about right now, because they're like, you know what, all those people who do that, they'll figure it out. We're not worried about
They're
them.
probably working their way cities out as far as like commuting wise. Okay, if you're only going to do this throughout the week, you're plugging it in once a week. And then once the ranges can get bigger, that's probably when they start worrying about
Yeah.
going and doing family vacations. Like
Interesting times ahead. So we'll see. So let's close out with a little bit of the Porsche market as a whole. Do we see it cooling off because of the status of what's happening in the country? Do we see this ripple effect for buyers? Is it a good time, probably the next, from now, today, when this comes out, to the next 4 to 5 months, probably, is it a good time to be a buyer, you think?
I think it is. I mean, the more and more something sits on a lot somewhere, the more it's costing that dealership or the person that really wants to move it. I mean, you're in that position. You can make a crazy offer and maybe you get halfway there on it, or
Yeah. And I think it goes back to, it's like Renee's getting a smoking deal on that PTS car because it's come down a lot. And I think my answer to this, I'll answer it and then I'll let you think about it while we're doing this. So what I've seen, because I recently purchased that car, I've been watching. So at least in the 996 turbo market, what's happened is cars that were for sale prior to all this madness of happening and were for sale prior to it and had been for a few months, they're the ones that are going to be actually the smoking deals in a few months, because now those cars have already been sitting prior to this outbreak. So they're going to be sitting even longer. So those are the cars that you need to look to see how long they've been for sale for, because I feel like those are the cars that have deals on.
yeah,
Anything that's coming up more recent, like during the midst of this,
priced correctly.
I think it's either that or they're okay with it sitting for a while and not having to take a bath on it, as opposed to moving the car. Those other ones that have already been for sale, let's say let's just take January, for example. These cars have already been on the lot since January. Now this thing happens where everybody's scared to spend money, whatever's happening. I think those are the cars. If you're a buyer right now, those are the cars you guys hunt for.
Did that lapis blue metallic ever sell? The one with the interior out in Cali?
The one that was really modded?
Yeah.
Yeah, it sold like a month before the guy took delivery on the bus, or I probably would have bought that car.
Okay.
I was really playing that one. I talked to the guy in Renlist a lot about that car and was just kind of watching it. And it's funny because I talked to him a few weeks before the guy took delivery on the bus, and it had sold probably like 3 weeks before that, because I messaged him and he's like, yeah, actually a guy picked it up today and he paid me, for it. And I was like, damn it. But, you miss one, another one comes along like this one that I have now. I'm super happy with it. I like the way it looks. And yeah, it was more expensive, but that I think long-term residually, it'll hold more value too because of that, because not a run-of-the-mill turbo. So I do think the market's cooling off, just because it's pretty obvious that's happening. I still think there's some deals to be had. Circling back to Renee, who's purchasing his 996 turbo and Polar Silver, the PTS car. I think that car's been for sale since January, so it falls in that category.
Yeah.
That car, they were asking like 68 for that car.
Yeah.
It only has 17,000 miles and it's a PTS car.
It only has wow.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was that
Super low mile car.
Wow. He definitely.
Yeah, super low mile car. So he ended up picking up in the high 50s.
Okay, yeah, because that's something he was hunting for, was low mileage. But
So it went through
crazy.
So
low
it went
miles.
through a series of price drops. So they were looking for that, and then I think they dropped it on their own to like 63-ish, and it lived there. I want to say from the beginning of March till basically last week, when they dropped it again into the 50s, like the high 50s. Yep. And that's where he started talking to him about it, and they worked a number out, and that's where he ended up buying it. Nice. So that came down. I think the dealer was ready to move on that car because they're like, holy crap, this car's been here forever. We need to make it aggressive. Yeah, let's make aggressive pricing for somebody to maybe purchase this so we can just get it out of our hair.
Man, that's a deal. I mean, that's practically a brand new car. That's 130 with a BTS color and everything.
Yeah.
Good for him.
So I think there's deals to be had. I'm not saying obviously rate people on stuff where, if it's a guy on Pelican or a guy on Renlist, an enthusiast that maybe lost his job or something and he needs money or whatever. Hopefully you guys can come out with an amicable deal, but I think there will be deals coming out in the next current time for the next 4 to 5 months, or even a little bit longer if people get into a position where they get kind of like desperate and, they have an air-cooled car that they don't owe anything on and they need 40, 50 grand.
Yeah, they'll get it. And then that's not a bad price for those cars either.
Yeah. And I think everybody kind of wins in that situation, except maybe the guy having to sell it, because if you don't want to sell it and you got to sell it, that always sucks. But maybe at least it's going to another enthusiast is the way you try to look at the positive side of it, right? So on the flip side of it, I do think that there's, I think the Porsche market as a whole in certain pockets, there's always cooling and heating, as you guys always know. And I feel since I was so close to the 996 market, I've been noticing an uptick, not even just this. I mean, it's been a slow progression up, and it's not like it's spiking like other cars or anything like that or air-cooled, but it has been going up.
Yeah.
And they have been going up because now the only turbos you're really seeing for $30-something thousand are usually something with like 100,000 miles on it. And who knows what the maintenance is, but I'm just saying in general. So the price ticks have gone up because you used to be able to get a pretty decent one in the high 30s with relatively low miles. I mean, that was a few years ago. So they have been on the trough to, go up some. How far they're going to continue to go, I don't know. I don't know if this is going to cool them off a little bit. But as we always talked about, good cars always have staying power regardless of what the market's doing. So if it's a blue chip car, it's a blue chip car. It just doesn't matter.
It's a turbo car, no matter if it's a 996 or not.
And generally the people that are hunting these cars are not impacted to the degree where they're not going to buy the car.
Yeah, this is the toy car, most likely.
So people in that kind of market are still going to hunt the car. But in general, I think there'll still be some deals to be had. You're just going to have to be able to move fast and move quick on some of these. I think there's going to be people that might need money. I think there's people that maybe have a hoarded collection where they maybe feel like it's time to move some stuff, and they might be in panic mode, so they might sell off some things. So I think there'll be some fire sales out there. But if you're a buyer, I think you got to be ready to go right when they come out, because somebody else will be probably just sending a deposit immediately. On the flip side of that, I hope you're not a seller, because if you're selling, it's not a good market to be selling in, because a lot of people are going to understand
they're looking for deals.
Yeah, they're going to be. If you're asking all the money, your car is probably not going to be bringing it, so it's just going to sit. So
you're going to get some of the money.
Yeah, so take that for what it is too. So maybe if you don't have to sell, you might not want to sell, and if your car is already for sale, you might want to pull it, because if you don't need to sell it, it's one of those type of deals, because you're not going to get the inflated price or you think it's worth price or whatever it is. It's probably
definitely not a bubble anymore. That's for sure.
Yeah. So, and again, certain cars are always going to bring the money, so it really depends. But I think that the players that have the cash and have the money, now is a good time to buy some of maybe those special cars that had a higher price tag, because you could probably.
So what would you be hunting right now if you weren't hunting the Turbo S?
If I had the my budget or unlimited budget,
money doesn't matter.
Probably right now is like newer GT cars, to be honest with you, because all the people that were tourists on those cars, and what I mean by like, oh yeah, where the dealers buy the car, it's safe money, you can drive it and you can get out of what you paid for it.
Yeah.
Not the case, because there's so many of them. I think, and that also works for a buyer. If there's so many of them, I feel like really good deals can be had on them, because there's tons of them sitting on dealership lots right now, and they're beautiful cars and they're amazing. I'm talking all like, the newer GT3s, GT3 RSs, even the .1s, and even the .2s. You don't need to, but the .1s are unbelievably priced aggressively, because there's just so many of them right now. I think if I was in that, I kind of be snatching up special ones, to be honest with you. And I don't mean just like run of the mills. If I had a money, no object thing, I'd be hunting like colors. I'd be hunting certain packages that came with the car, from factory, carbon buckets. Be hunting manual cars if possible, if you're just going to do GT3, like the 4.0, the newer one. Tourings, like just gathering all those up, on a lower price if you can get them, because I just think that's where somebody already took all the hit on it already. So I think that's where good money's at right now, if you have money no object type of situation. How about you?
I've been looking at GT3s. That's why I asked. I've perused. I looked at it, and they
what
are
generation?
991s, the first gen, because that's what I first drove. My first GT car that I drove was that. I really liked it. Full cage, exhaust, all that stuff. Yeah, I mean, it's not a bad price market at all for what they are.
I think I saw a 16 GT3 with 15,000 miles on it for like 100,000.
Yeah.
I mean, how could you not buy that car?
Yeah.
If you're in that market.
It's true.
I know that's not throwaway money, but that you're getting a lot of car for $100,000. And you could keep that sensibly. You
that
could
is a
keep
driver-free car.
You could keep that car forever.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly. But interesting topics. Thanks for joining us today. Don't forget to subscribe. Please, after this, go on and do a review for us.
Yeah, on iTunes is
preferable. On iTunes. If you enjoy the show, give us a review, give us some stars, write something in. We love your feedback. Make sure you make it over to the YouTube channel because I know a lot of people are locked at home. Subscribe to our channel there, notification bell, and engage with us. And please see us over there and look at that content. Everything you guys are doing for us helps us out. And enjoy the free content. And just do us a solid on the backside and participate on that end for us, right?
Yep.
All right, we'll see you guys soon.
That's it. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Pcar Talk. Connect with us on Instagram at Pcar Talk or online at pcartalk.com.